What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Friday, October 29th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 7-game slate tonight, so let's take a look at the point guard position. I like Ricky Rubio from the Cleveland Cavaliers playing the LA Lakers, who have the worst defense overall, and they give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Ricky Rubio has averaged 33.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 28 minutes per game with a 26% usage rate. He's projected at 33.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.9 times value. He's $5,600 DraftKings salary, the same price on FanDuel, so I like Ricky Rubio here versus the LA Lakers. Okay, another point guard that I like is Jalen Brunson from the Dallas Mavericks playing the Denver Nuggets, who have a good defense overall, but they give up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Jalen Brunson has averaged 29.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 27 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. He's projected at 28.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.8 times value. He's $4,800 DraftKings salary, 200 more on FanDuel. So I like Jalen Brunson here versus the Denver Nuggets. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. I like Will Barton from the Denver Nuggets playing the Dallas Mavericks, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. Although they've been pretty good versus opposing shooting guards, Will Barton, he's averaged 31.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. He's projected at 32.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.5 times value. He's $5,900 DraftKings salary, 100 less on FanDuel. So I like Will Barton here versus the Dallas Mavericks. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won. And we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, the other shooting guard that I like, now here's a value play for you. I like Anthony Simmons from the Portland Trailblazers playing the LA Clippers, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing shooting guards, but Anthony Simmons has averaged 23.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 22 minutes per game with a 22% usage rate. He's projected at 22.9 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 6 times value. He's only $3,800 DraftKings salary, 500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 223 points scored in this game. And Anthony Simmons, he scored 30, 19, and 25 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 20, and 24 minutes. So I like Anthony Simmons here versus the LA Clippers. Okay, I got another value play for you here. I like Cody Martin from the Charlotte Hornets playing the Miami Heat, who have a good defense overall. They're middle of the pack defending opposing shooting guards. Cody Martin has averaged 22.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 25 minutes per game with a 13% usage rate. He's projected at 22.6 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 6.3 times value because he's only $3,600 DraftKings salary. He's $1,200 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 221.5 points scored in this game, and he scored 31, 9, and 26 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 29, 17, and 32 minutes. So he's a high-risk, high-reward sleeper pick here versus the Miami Heat. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. I like Paul George from the LA Clippers playing the Portland Trailblazers, who have the 8th worst defense overall. They give up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Paul George has averaged 49.2 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 33% usage rate. He's projected at 50.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's $10,000 DraftKings salary, $100 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 223 points scored in this game, so I like Paul George here versus the Portland Trailblazers. And another small forward that I like is Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat playing the Charlotte Hornets, who have the 10th worst defense overall. They give up the 11th most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Jimmy Butler has averaged 46 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 28% usage rate. He's projected at 46.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.3 times value. He's $8,700 DraftKings salary, $500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 221.5 points scored in this game, so I like Jimmy Butler here versus the Charlotte Hornets.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on.
Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, who do we have at the power forward position? Here's a value play for you. I like Nasir Little from the Portland Trailblazers playing the LA Clippers, who have a good defense overall. They're middle of the pack defending opposing power forwards. Nasir Little has averaged 20 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 25 minutes per game with a 14% usage rate. He's projected at 20 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 4.9 times value. He's $4,100 DraftKings salary, $600 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 223 points scored in this game, and Nasir Little has scored 19, 25, and 25 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 26, 31, and 27 minutes. So I like Nasir Little here versus the LA Clippers. Okay, another value play for you. Take a look at Nicholas Batum from the LA Clippers playing the Portland Trailblazers. So I think this is a good game to stack here. And the Trailblazers have the 8th worst defense overall, give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Nicholas Batum has averaged 20.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 26 minutes per game with a 14% usage rate. He's projected at 19.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.9 times value. He's $4,000 DraftKings salary, $600 more on FanDuel. We know there's going to be 223 points scored in this game. It's a good matchup, good game to stack, lots of value on this game. So I like Nicholas Batum here versus the Portland Trailblazers. Okay, moving on to the center position. We've given you a lot of value plays on this slate. We've given you some studs, and here's another stud that I like. I like Domantas Sabonis from the Indiana Pacers playing the Brooklyn Nets, who have the 11th worst defense overall. They give up the 10th most fantasy points to opposing centers. Domantas Sabonis has averaged 45.4 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 39 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He's projected at 45.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.8 times value, but I think he can score 50 fantasy points or more, get you over 5 times value. He's 9,400 DraftKings salary, 100 less on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 224 points scored in this game, and I like this pick because Domantas Sabonis has scored 60, 41, 57, and 48 fantasy points in his last 4 games versus the Nets. So I like Domantas Sabonis here versus the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, another center I like is Rashaan Holmes from the Sacramento Kings playing the New Orleans Pelicans, who have the 9th worst defense overall. They've been pretty good versus opposing centers, but Rashaan Holmes has averaged 36.4 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 26 minutes per game with a 15% usage rate. He's projected at 36.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's 6.3 times value. He's 5,800 DraftKings salary, but he's 1,700 more on FanDuel, so I prefer that DraftKings price. Vegas thinks there's going to be 219.5 points scored in this game, so I like Rashaan Holmes here versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, another center that I think is in a pretty decent spot here is Evan Mobley from the Cleveland Cavaliers playing the LA Lakers, who have the worst defense overall, and they give up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing centers. Evan Mobley has averaged 33.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with an 18% usage rate. He's projected at 33.7 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's 6,800 DraftKings salary, 200 less on FanDuel. So I like Evan Mobley here versus the LA Lakers.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.